You wanna learn some script? All right, in this video, Rocky is gonna be doing a script tattoo. Without further ado, I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna let him come in and we're gonna get this going.
What up, guys? My name is Rocky. You can find me on Instagram at RockyG_inks. I am a freehand lettering artist. I also do black and gray. I'm located in downtown Los Angeles at the Gallery DTLA. And I've been tattooing for about 3 years now. I had the greatest opportunity to be here at Elysian Tattoo Studios to show you guys kind of what I do. So we're gonna get into this video and show you how I get down. So here, we got my boy recording me. Usually I draw things on the iPad first. I use a 6B pencil. For me, that works best. I turn the streamline all the way down for me to get the flow right. Typically, I'll draw it on the iPad because I want to get the image out of my head. Usually when a client asks me to give them a tattoo, they give me a specific name or a word or whatever the case is. I immediately start drawing it in my head. So I like to draw on the iPad because I can modify it more on the iPad than I can in my own head. So typically I'll draw on the iPad, get an idea, then I kind of go from there, get a base, and then I take it to the next level and I draw it on their skin. Here, I'm very meticulous when I set up, super hella OCD. This is how I pack all my stuff as well. Whenever I travel, I like to pack things in Ziploc bags to keep everything organized as possible. I feel like that's the key for me, to be as organized as possible. So typically, depending on the area that I'm tattooing, for me, I like to lay them on their stomach. If I'm tattooing a forearm, the last thing I want is somebody watching me tattoo. It's really annoying. So I just have you lay down, don't look. So here I'm using a yellow Sharpie for my lightest color. Typically with a yellow Sharpie, I like to grid out the tattoo as much as possible. That's just to get the spacing right, the kerning, the ascenders, the descenders, the grid, all of these things to really figure out how it's gonna fit on the body. After I use like a yellow marker, I'll grab a slightly darker colored marker. Like you see here, I think it's like a light pink. And I'll kind of go over it again and establish and make it to where I can see the letters more and make them concrete, like to solidify the drawing, depending on how the first drawing went. So I believe here I'm using the pink colored marker. I'm pretty satisfied with the drawing. He wanted La vida es prestada, which means, I don't even know what it means, to be honest. It's something, life is borrowed or something like that, I'm not too sure. Forgive me, I don't speak Spanish, but yeah, he wanted that on his forearm. So I decided to make it like composition, where at the top La vida es was in like in a banner, and then underneath we wrote prestada. So I drew out La vida es prestada first in yellow, and then I drew the prestada in orange because it's the forefront. After I drew that as a forefront, as you see here, I have a very dark colored marker, which is purple. And in this case, I am solidifying my drawing. I am happy with the drawing. This took about an hour, roughly, when I freehand my shit. I don't know if I can say shit on here, but usually when I freehand my stuff, I take a very long time. The freehanding process is my stencil. So for everybody out there who wants to learn lettering, like the last thing you need to be worried about is time and all that ridiculous stuff, right? Take your time, focus on the drawing. For me, man, I'll draw something for an hour and a half, and if I don't like it, I swear to God, I'll erase the whole thing and do it all over. Typically, the clients love that, you know. The clients, they mess with that. They want it to be perfect. I take my job very serious, man. So when I decide to do something on a person and I draw, I spend an hour and a half drawing. I'm not gonna just draw and be like, oh, it looks kind of cool, let's run it. Like, nah, it's an obligation of me to make sure that if I love the drawing, then I'll love the tattoo. So that's how it goes in an eggshell or whatever the case is. This is this ink that I use, Big Sleeps ink. It's one of my sponsors. Shout out Big Sleeps. Canon ink as well. I use Killer Bee Black. I have 4 caps. Killer Bee Black is like the darkest black you could get on the market, I believe. I use a Ghost Line 3, as you see here, as my second cap. Ghost Line 2 is my third, and Ghost Line 1 is my last cap. It's a pre-made gray wash set. It's called Ghost Line Gray Wash Set. Ghost Line 3, 2-in-1, dark, medium, light. And then I'll sauce up like some blue magic in there. No, it doesn't make the ink blue, so don't worry. I mean, you can see how many drops there are. I wouldn't tell you, but on the video it shows you. But I put 4 drops of Blue Magic and only my gray wash. So not the black, only in the gray wash. Here, I think we already skipped this step previously to that, but I do outline the whole thing in my lightest tone. I'll outline it in my lightest tone so that when the freehand drawing is outlined in my lightest tone, it won't be very saturated. Like, they won't see a thick black line, and that's so that the tattoo looks like a sticker, right? A lot of times people will do lettering and then they'll see a hard black line against their packed in black, and that's because you have that sharp black outline, and you can't get rid of that. For most people, they can't get rid of that. So I'll outline it in a ghost line. What you see here, it's all outlined on my lightest tone, 3-round liner, and then I'll typically after that go back and start packing in my black. Here I'm doing the La Vida S at the top, so yes, I am using a liner for this, but as the video goes on, you'll see that I typically use a mag. I don't really use liners. I just use that ghost line tone, the outline, and I'll pack my mag against that black so it looks like a sticker. It looks flawless. And in this case, you know, most of the time I'm just really taking my time. I can't even exercise that enough to you guys. Like, people are always talking about, well, I need to get faster. Like, nah, what do you need to get faster for? I don't understand. You know, take your time, man. Like, nobody's watching you tattoo as much as you think that they are. They're not. They don't care. You know, as long as the quality's good, you know, who's gonna judge you? If it takes you 8, 9, 10 hours to do a name, then it took you 8, 9, 10 hours, as long as it looks dope. So yeah, once again, in this clip, you see, I'm still working on the La Vida part. It took a little long. I think I'm running a 3 or a 7. I think at this point I'm running a 3. In the La Vida S at the top, I wanted to keep it small, keep it thin, and then I used a 3-round liner to pack it, and then like a 7 to get inside. Here, now I'm working on the prestada word, and you can see here in the video, it's all outlined with my lightest tone, and you can see I'm working the mag against that light tone, right? I don't really use a liner in this instance because I do want that sticker effect, right? So when the tattoo heals, you're not gonna see a very like sharp, concentrated black line. You're gonna see just a seamless letter, and I feel like with the mag you can accomplish that for sure. Obviously you have to practice using the mag and use the appropriate mag, but for the most part, that's how I do it. Here I'm running a 7-round liner to get the lines. Typically, depending on how big the letter is, or the word is, excuse me, depending on how big the word is how thick I'll go with the liner. For the connector lines, which connector lines are, in case if you don't know, are the lines that connect each letter. So since this was a bigger tattoo, I decided to use a 7-round liner to kind of make sure those connector lines were bold, saturated, usually 1 pass. And right here, I'm running my packer. I run a Bishop packer, and with the quadrant needle. When I'm pulling lines and packing in black, I run it at 8.3. For me, that works. Everybody's different, but if you guys care to know, that's what I run it at. So 8.3 voltage when I pack in black and pulling lines. And you can see here, I'm kind of just crisping it up a little bit with that 3-round liner. This is, once again, we're blending. This is a 13 curve mag. And right here, I'm working in my light tone. So typically what happens is, I'll give you guys my secret only because it's Angelo. If it wasn't for Angelo, I would not be telling you guys this shit. So take advantage, right? So when I do my blends, I pack in my blacks at 8.3 volts. And then after I blend off my black and I'm satisfied with the gradient, then and only then I'll turn my voltage down to 7 volts. I'll kick my needle inward and I'll start blending in my dark, my mid, and my light. So for me, that's what works. If you guys go to my Instagram, you guys can see that stuff. I do post videos on it. It may not have a voiceover, but there are videos about how I do it. I don't go too much in depth because there are people who are subscribed who pay for that, so I don't go too in depth on it. But like I said, this is Angelo's YouTube. I got love for him, so I will share that with you guys. So like I mentioned, packing in black at 8.3, blend it off to a smooth and gradient, then work my dark, mid, and light at 7 volts. Here, I was using a 7-round liner. Typically, I don't go anything, I won't run anything bigger than a 7 round. If I want to make a line thicker, I will double my 7 round. I feel like anything higher than a 7, it loses its integrity as far as crispness. So I won't use anything higher than a 7 round liner. I'll use like 9 round shaders for other things, but nothing much. And you can see here, this is most of it done. And now I am drawing the frame. I can't even express how crucial that is, guys, as far as like the frame. Now, do not get me wrong. I am more than capable of freehanding the frame. I'm aware of this, but I still draw on the client because, as I mentioned before, it would be very inappropriate of me or like to just blindly do this with a 3 round liner, which I know I can, but I think taking that extra step is very important, man. Your client understands and your client respects that. It takes me what, an additional 5 minutes. I'm already gonna be here for 8-9 hours. So what's the problem? Your client's paying a significant amount of money. Stop being lazy and just do the right job, right? So here I have a 27 curved mag. I'm bending off my dark. On my background shading, I take as much time as I need as well. I started noticing, like, no artists in particular, but like a lot of artists, they would do their background shading and their lettering, and it's just super sloppy and choppy because they know, like, all right, I'm doing my background, I'm almost done, let's burn through this. And I decided to not do that. I decided to take the same amount of time and patience as I did in the beginning of the tattoo to the end. And I feel like that's what separates my work from others. Not saying that I'm the greatest, but I do take pride in the background shading. I want it to be smooth, and I feel like if you've already spent 7-8 hours on this tattoo, what's another 2 hours on the outside shading, right? So take your time. You see here, I have that 27 curve mag, brushing off my dark tone. I go dark to mid. That's another thing for you guys to know. When I do my background shading, I'll go dark to mid. Maybe I'll brush my light off, but I'm going dark to mid most of the times. I like the way the Big Sleeves ink heals, and for me it works. So here I am, once again, I'm working on the left side of the wrist now, not left side, but on the wrist. I'm using a 17 curve mag, packing in that dark, making sure it's really saturated. Anytime you reach corners in a frame, I feel like it should be darker. In the corners, it should be darker. Then when you get outward, it should become light. Another thing too, I feel like you guys, some of the newer guys especially, it took me a very long time to understand this, but when you're doing background shading, I would say do the background shading in the shape of the frame. A lot of people, they'll just brush outside shading and it looks ridiculous. It's just flat. So remember to do it according to the frame. And then here you are, you see the finished product on my dog, Danny. He thugged it out for like 8 hours or something. I don't even know what time it is. 8 hours, and that's it. We got La Vida es Prestada. I created some composition. I had the P go over the banner, then the rest of the word tucked underneath the banner to give it some composition. And that's about it. Oh yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram, as I mentioned, RockyG_inks. You can subscribe. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't. Angelo, Angelo, he's gonna help me with that. But I think it's Rock. Yeah. So it's RockyG_INKZ on YouTube. I'm kind of building that up. I also have this new thing where my dog Blasted. I'm pretty sure you guys seen Blasted, or if you haven't, Blasted Network on YouTube. We have this cool shit called Dry Wipe Chronicles, so you guys can check that out. Dry Wipe Chronicles, it's on Instagram as well. We're gonna be like making YouTube stuff for that as well, but check it out, man. And thank you guys for watching.